Raila Odinga is not just any other candidate. He's very formidable, a very serious political figure, not just opposition figure, but a serious politician who has in one way or the other served in government as a prime minister and as a minister. So he understands the nitty-gritties of running an institution, so to say. He's also been able to portray his Pan-Africanism, a statesman's stature. Crucially important is that he has been talking about the kind of priorities. Sarah, the positivities comes with the kind of priorities you are spearheading or you are submitting to the continent, the kind of manifesto you bring to the people. One of the crucial things that Raila Odinga is talking about is having open skies. Open skies simply means that you're able to have air mobility. I can be able to move from Nairobi to Bamako in Mali, flying over without any challenges in terms of air permits and whatnot. We have connectivity in terms of air traveling. But really, these are issues that are member states bound. It is the prerogative of the member states to decide. Like, for instance, just 2 days ago, the Democratic Republic of the Congo did ban the Rwandese airline not to fly over the airspace of what they say, look, these people are interfering in our own internal affairs. So how then does the African Union Commission come in and say, look, we need to do a bit of some bottlenecks and resolve this issue so that people are able to get a bit of effective air mobility? I think it's bound on each and every member state, the 55 member states. But yes, the positivity is that Kenya is sending over a very formidable figure to bid for the African Union Commission chairperson. But then it also comes at a very, if you ask me, at a very wrong timing, because it's when Kenya domestically has been facing a lot of crisis. You can see the momentum from the Gen Z June protest of 2024 is still alive. So a lot of course, also negative energy in terms of how our politicians are viewed. So, I mean, you cannot. Raila Odinga has no say in the country's foreign policy, but he won't be able to run away from the kind of domestic policy decisions and the kind of foreign policy decisions that the government has been able to make. Of course, which will be scrutinized by any rational member state.
Wow, great submissions right there, Mwangi. What time is the voting actually?
The voting is going to happen in the afternoon after the leaders have been able to give their they're going to give their speeches, their national country speeches. Each and every country is going to talk and try and highlight the kind of priorities they want the African Union Commission to deal with. Kenya will also do that. But most crucially is that what will be symbolic tomorrow is that William Ruto will be the first person to vote for Raila Odinga. So it will be a very symbolic vote that William Ruto will make, voting for his former political nemesis, now political ally, to be able to, move away from the domestic politics and then continentally to join the continental space as the African Union chairperson, African Union Commission chairperson. So South Africa as a powerhouse is able to retaliate diplomatically and say, look, we cannot be bullied. So expect a South Africa tomorrow that is very firm in terms of who they are going to support, because they want a candidate who will be able to ensure that their interests are taken care of. And not just their interests, that the interests of the Palestinian people, the interests of the Western Saharan people are taken care of. So I hope I have been able to answer your question in a not more political way. In a not more political way, yes.
That's okay. And does China come into play about the EU politics?
Does China
have anything to do with the African politics, the AUC and all that? Does it have to spread its influence across Africa and all that?
Yes.
China built us the bill. China gave us the AU's African Union building.
Yeah,
But Mwangi carry on.
and you have also to understand that China, in terms of global politics and, in fact, global political economy, it's only China that has been able to maintain a very serious footprint diplomatically in the continent. It has relationship with 54 African countries. Not 54, 53 African countries. It maintains diplomatic relations apart from Eswatini, which supports Taiwan. Eswatini is the last ally of Taiwan in Africa, so it doesn't have diplomatic relations with China. And of course, Western Sahara is African Union recognized. It's a member state, but not globally recognized by the United Nations. So China doesn't also maintain relations with Western Sahara. And as Sarah says, the room that the 49 African leaders will be sitting tomorrow to vote through a secret ballot is fully funded and constructed by the Chinese. So a more easier way of telling you, yes, the Chinese have a lot of influence in the continent, and they can be able to sway. Not really to say that they can interfere with the internal affairs of the African Union, because African Union is not really political in terms of how we deal with China. It's a member state issue. It's a prerogative of the member state on who to deal with in terms of the global political economy, in terms of the global security, and so on and so on. Thank
Mwangi,
you.
thank you very much for your contributions. Just in a line note, I want you to tell us, have we done any positive thing in this campaign, by the way? Because we have just been pointing all the blunders that we have had.
Okay, final question.
Yes.
Mwangi, the new defense secretary for the United States yesterday released a strong message about Africa, about they need to lead they will respond to threats, but the African partners need to lead on this, and we need to take up the. What do you think Raila, if given the chance, will respond to terrorist threats in Africa, especially with the US withdrawing from most of the funding for these anti-terror activities? How do you think it will be hard for the new AUC chair?
Thank you. A very interesting question about the Americans and the defense issues, that the defense policy of the Americans, they're trying to dictate that we will not fund the defense policies of any other country. We will be after, an American for. Hello?
You disappeared.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm saying
yes.
Just a minute, somebody trying to call me. I'm trying to hang up.
Okay. Before you sort that out,
you can hear me now?
Yes.
I'm saying the Americans are trying to run an America first foreign policy. Of course, foreign policy is essential. Most crucially, the seat to do with the African Union Commission. We talk about a Pan-Africanism. We talk about Pan-Africanism. What is Pan-Africanism? It's the concept of Pan-Africanism is a general term for various movements in Africa that, in one or the other, have as their common goal the unity of Africans and the elimination of colonialism and white supremacy from the continent, right? Kenya hosts about 3 foreign military bases. We have the British Batuk in Laikipia, and we have 2 bases, one in Manda Bay by the Americans, and we have a new one in Wajir. If you do not know that the Americans have started a new combat drone base after they were kicked out in Niger, they have come to Wajir and they will be running their own aerial warfare from Wajir. So is it purely about Pan-Africanism? Kenya is supporting the candidature of Raila Odinga. How is he going to respond to terrorism? That's purely a question to do with the African Union Peace and Security Council, which is under a commissioner from Nigeria, Ambassador Bankole Adeo. who retained his seat for a second term on Wednesday. So there is also a distinction between what the African Union Commission chairperson can do and what the various departments that are, that have been designated to deal with particular matters like peace and security, which is very crucial because it's part of the Agenda 2063 footprint. We are talking about silencing the guns by 2030. We are now, they had envisioned to have silenced the guns by the year 2024. We are now in the year 2025. Crisis after crisis, conflict after conflict, and not just terrorism. Also inbound civil strifes and civil wars. We have Sudan crisis. We have the crisis in Eastern Congo, which has protracted for decades. Of course, yes, we need a very strong African Union Commission chairperson who will also be able to, bite a bit. We need a body which will be hands-on, not hands-off, because oftentimes is that the African Union Commission is unable to issue statements, calling out member states' governments because, an African Union Commission chairperson is under the behest of the African leaders.